Okay, so let me start by sharing my screen. All right, I hope everyone can see the screen. Okay. Right. Right. Thank you for responding, Donnie. Okay. Let me just go back to the voice slide. And let me admit a few more people. Okay. This session is mainly for us to introduce the web client application for SAP Business One. And I'll be going through the lead-to-cash process as well as the procure-to-pay process. Essentially, it is the sales cycle as well as the purchasing cycle in SAP Business One Web Client. Traditionally, you have been using SAP Business One application on the Windows environment and Windows operating system using the desktop applications. So with the latest release, SAP has actually introduced more features in the web client. Therefore, I would like to share with you what can we use in this web client. As you know, the biggest cost in the modern business isn't a bad decision, but the friction of a delayed data. What it means is that if in a disconnected system, if the data does not move from one module to another module, it prevents the business to get the latest information and has a one-glance view of the whole business process. Therefore, in the past, businesses have been using spreadsheets or even a different system to handle their end-to-end business process. And by introducing web client, SAP hopes to modernize the current business process by letting the users accessing the system via the modern browser. As you can see, the friction of manual work has actually increased the efficiency loss, especially when you have different systems working in disconnected fashion. So in a legacy system, where your processes are actually locked in the legacy system where they are disconnected, your businesses will create a black hole and you will not have the visibility of your end-to-end business processes. So what are the 3 wings for success in your businesses? To be honest, by accessing SAP Business One in the desktop applications or in the legacy system, it means you need to actually use a Windows operating system accessing to have access to your own desktop applications. With web client, you now have the freedom to access to the system anywhere by just using PC, tablet, or Macintosh with a unified user interface. In addition to the ease of access, the web client also allows users to make data-driven decisions with its built-in analytics. I will be showing you how do we use the web client analytics to drive business success. Of course, the last important win theme for success is you need to have only one database, one single source of truth from the very first lead to the final payment, so that you do not have a different system that works in different departments where they do not talk to each other. Now, let's jump into the revenue engine of a businesses by using the web client to master the lead-to-cash lifecycle. So what I'll be going through in the sales cycle using the web client will be starting from the CRM and the leads generations by capturing the opportunities on the fly with a Fury-style tiles. A Fury style tile is actually SAP user interface language. So SAP Fury style is used harmoniously in all the SAP products. Next, you will convert the CRM into a quotation by allowing the user to check for the livestock levels, as well as to check for available to promise. Sorry, we'll just mute everyone again. Okay. Next, we will be able to convert the quotation with one click to a sales order, and allowing the users to do an integrated credit checks in the sales order screen. Lastly, we will convert the sales order into a cash collection data where the users can actually complete the end-to-end process of the sales cycle. Okay, let me just switch over to a web browser. I'll be using Microsoft Edge browser, but that does not mean that you cannot use any other browser. You can also use Google Chrome or even Safari in iPad. Okay, let me just admit again, everyone. Okay. Now, let me go into this web browser. I will log out from the system first, and to show you how do we actually log in. Let me just go on for a while. Let's go into here. Okay. Now, this is the new login screen for the SAP Business One Webclient. As usual, you will be using your SAP Business One user ID and password, and you can select the database that you want to log in. The system does support multiple databases, so that you can choose which database you want to log in. Okay, let me just, I have actually stayed in this page for too long, so I will just log in again. Okay, let me just admit more people here. Okay, so this is the user interface of the web client in SAP Business One. As you can see, I can actually access to a lot of different modules over here, but I'll be focusing on the sales cycle today. So I will go to the CRM modules by clicking on the link. When you go to the CRM tab, all the apps will appear in the CRM tab. So now we call this different tile a Fury tile, an app individually that allows us to perform individual functions. So I will start by creating a new customer. Perhaps a customer calls in, and maybe this is even a new customer that you have never dealt with. So we will go to the Create Business Partner window. Okay. So when you come to the Create Business Partner window, this might look familiar to those of you who are already using SAP Business One to create the business partner. The system and the information required is exactly the same as your desktop application. It's just the difference is you are now using the web browser to do so. Okay. First, you will give the customer a code, and you will then enter the customer name. For example, the customer name here. Then you can go to the contact person tab. Then system will bring you down to the contact person where you can add new contact person. Say, for example, I will just create a new contact ID, and I can give it a first name and the last name. Then I will be able to enter the email address of this contact person. Of course, you can add more, but for now, I will just go to the payment terms. I will just leave it as just one, and then next I'll go to the payment terms. So this will also look familiar to those users who have been using Business One to create the business partner. From now, I will just indicate a credit limit here. You can always see there is a credit limit utilization here on the top, where you can immediately see what are the utilization of the credit limits. Now, once this is done, I will just select Add and View to add this business partner data in the system. All right. So next, what I will do is there is a shortcut for me to create an opportunity from here. I will just go to Create and select Opportunity. So you can see it is actually an end-to-end process and is connected. So now next, the system bring me to the opportunity creation screen, where I can enter the opportunity name. For example, interested in printer. Okay. I will also be able to select the sales employee. For example, I have one sales employee here. I will just key in the sales employee name. System will do a search for me. And I will just choose the salesperson here. Next, I will go to the potential tab, where I can enter the potential amount. The system will be able to calculate for me what is the weighted amount based on the percentage of completions. So you can see that there is a closing percentage here that the system actually calculated for me. I will also be able to enter what is the number of days that I expect this opportunity to become a real deal. So for example, I enter 100 days. Okay. So for now, this opportunity is good enough for me. I will just add and view. So this is the opportunity screen for me to see. Now, what happens if I want to look at all the opportunities that I have? No problem. You just go to Business One. This is the home page. Click on the Business One icon. Go back to the home page. You will see another app called Opportunities. And you see 40 over here. What does this 40 mean? This 40 means there are now currently 40 opportunities that are remaining open. So you can see from here, once I click on it to go into this list, I will be able to see the full list from here. And you will be able to see the closing percentage of each of the opportunities. You can sort it in descending order by focusing on the most important opportunities now. Or I can also sort it by the opportunity number and looking at the latest opportunity that I have created. Okay. Next, what I will do is I will create a sales quotation for this particular customer. What I will do is I can then click on this to go into the customer master here. Then I will then go to the click on this create, and I will then be able to create a sales quotation here. System will bring me to the sales quotation creation screen. So from here, I will be able to browse to the content tab, where I can continue to add new item. And for those of you who have been using SAP Business One to create a sales quotation, this will look familiar to you. It is in the same organization structure where you will key in the general information such as customer information, the reference number, the remarks, the dates, and you can also enter the item number in the contents tab. All right. So in the contents tab, you will start entering the item number. You can enter the item number by typing in the description of the item that you want to quote the customer. Let's say I want to quote this item to the customer. But how do I know whether I have sufficient or quantity to promise to this customer? I will be able to click on this arrow. I will then be able to go to View More, and the system will be able to open up this item master in another tab, and you bring me to the item master. And from here, I will be able to view the inventory information by looking at the in stock, committed, as well as the available quantity here. However, I want to go into more detail. So I can go to the available to promise. The system again bring me to available to promise report of this particular item. So from here, I can click on expand all system will be able to show me the item, which are the documents that comprises of the committed quantity. And you can see from here, and system give me the detailed breakdown. If there are any other purchase order documents, it will also be listed here. Okay, so of course you can export this into an Excel by clicking on this export to Excel button. So this gives you a full view of your item available to promise to customer. Now, I know that I have sufficient quantity to fulfill the requirements of the customer. I will then continue back into my sales quotation. So in this sales quotation screen, I will enter the quantity that I want to quote the customer. For example, 10 units. Once I enter the quantity, the system will be able to calculate for me what's the total amount. Okay. So once this is done and I'm satisfied with the information that I want, I will just click on Add and View. And the system is able to add this document into the system. Now, how do I link this quotation back into my opportunity? I will be able to go back to my opportunities, but which opportunity did I work with? I can click on the profile icon on the top right-hand side here. I will then select recent activities. And from these recent activities, I'm able to see which are those data that I worked with just now. So for example, I worked with this opportunity 75 4 minutes ago. I will click on this and you zoom back to the opportunity 75. This saves you a number of clicks in the system so that you do not need to go back to the main screen, go to the opportunity app and search for the data and then zoom into that data. There's not necessary for you to do so by using the most recent activities. Now click on Edit. I will then be able to go to the stages. I will progress this to the next stage by changing the stage into, say, for example, quotation. And at the same time, I'm able to link this to the quotation documents. So click on this value help icon. So in SAP Business One Desktop Client, we call it choose from list. But in Web Client, this kind of icon is called value help. So we click this, and this is the new quotation that I've just created. The system by default will always sort the list according to the document in descending order. So I click this, and the system will ask me, do you want to update the amount and the gross profit? Because initially I quoted 10,000, I put the potential amount of 10,000, but my quotation value could be different. So I answer yes. Then the system will update the potential amount to match my sales quotation value. All right. So you can see that once I progress this opportunity to the next stage, my closing percentage increases. And once this is done, I will click update. All right. So now, what happens if I send this quotation to the customer and the customer is happy to accept my order and they place a purchase order to me? The next step for me to do is to convert the quotation into a sales order. So I click on this button. Again, I can drill down to the quotation. Now, I do not want to open too many tabs. I will just view the current quotation in the current tab. Now, it brings me back to this sales quotation. So what happened next? I don't have to re-enter all this information into another document. I will just need to select the copy tool and I will select sales order. And the system will bring me to the sales order app with all the data previewed for me. What you need to do is you just need to enter the estimated delivery date. Say, for example, I want it to be delivered next week. So I will be able to specify the delivery date here. Of course, you are free to make any additional modifications such as the customer PO number. And there's one thing that you can see from here that is missing from the SAP Desktop Client is this particular email screen, email field. This email field allows you to change the email address of the person that you want to send this document to. Okay. Next, you will be checking the detail and making sure that everything is what you want to quote the customer. And once this is done, you will then click on Add and View. Now, you are ready to deliver the goods. I will just, while I'm in the current sales order, I will just go to copy to a delivery. So we will just repeat the same step again by copying the sales order into delivery. So you can see I would not need to rekey in everything. The information from my sales order are automatically copied to this delivery. I can make changes to the quantity that I want to deliver. So for now, I will just keep it as it is. So I will click on Add and View. And I will click on Yes, because you cannot make changes further and make any further changes to the delivery once it has been added. I will say Yes. And you say operation completed successfully. Now, next is for me to bill the customer. What I will do is I will just copy this delivery into an AR invoice. Now, the whole thing again get copied over to AR invoice. Now, if everything remain the same, I will just need to click on the Add and View button to add these documents. All right. So you see the utilization of the credit limit increases immediately in this AR invoice. All right. You can also go to the customer and you can also view the customer information. Say, for example, go to the customer master. You can also view the credit limit utilization over here as well. Now, let's go back to the AR invoice. And we receive the payment from customer right now. So what happened is I go to pay. System bring me to the payment app. We call it incoming payment app. So from here, all the relevant information are previewed for you, including the invoice number. So what you need to do is just choose a payment means. For now, I'll say, for example, I receive cash from the customer. I go to the cash payment means. I will be able to specify the GL account code that I want, and I can key in the payment amount that I receive. Similar to your desktop client, if you are aware of the shortcut Control B is to copy the amount paid into this field. So I just press Control B, the amount will appear automatically for me. I don't need to key in myself. I will just click on Add and View, and I answer yes. I will then be able to post this incoming entry. And there will be an accounting entry generated. If you go back to the general, there is a transaction number. If you want to view the transaction number, somebody actually write something here. So let me see. I see if I can actually clear it away. Okay. All right. All right. So now let me go to the journal entry. And the system is able to show you the journal entry, the double entry here. Very similar to what you used to do in your desktop client. Now, let me go back to the incoming payment. I want to show you a relationship map. Let's go back to the relationship map. And you'll now be able to see that this incoming payment is offsetting to this AR invoice. Okay, what happened to this AR invoice then? Let's zoom into this AR invoice first. And let's have a view of the full relationship of all the relevant documents. Let's go back to the relationship map. And you will now be able to view the relationship of all the relevant documents in the whole chunk. So you can see from here. Okay, so it actually shows you the full link of everything. All right. So before we end the sales process, I just want to have a quick glance through of a sales analysis app. So there is a new app in this web client, which is under reports, where you have a sales analysis that allows you to have data about the current sales from the invoices, orders, or delivery. So you can see from here, this will be the sales. So you can scroll up and down to see your sales. And you can see the breakdown of the invoices as well at the bottom. There are multiple views that you can choose. For example, I want to see my 5-year document comparison. So when I change this view, I will be able to, let me just close this window. I'll be able to see the last 5 years documents, individual document breakdown of the data here. Okay. Right. So this is one of the sales analysis app that you can use. The other one that you can actually use is by going into the customer master. Go into here. And from the customer master, we can actually create additional view by linking it to additional analytics. So we go to the customer 360, for example. For this customer, in this customer 360 view, this particular dashboard will then be able to filter the results based on the customer code that I've chosen. So you can see from here, these are the total sales amount for this customer. These are the total inventory quantity sold for this customer. And these are the top 20 selling items for this customer. All right. So all the result in this dashboard is already filtered according to the customer. Of course, if you do not want to filter, you can always go back to the standard, change the view into standard view. Then the system will refresh this dashboard by showing everything, not just limited to by that customer. And these particular dashboards are interactive. For example, if I'm interested in looking at this particular year of data, I click on this, there will be a details here. And you can actually click on these details where you can actually export to Excel to see the data. Okay. Similarly, I can also go to this net purchases. I click on these details. I can also export this to a Excel as well. Okay. So this is interactive. Now, that concludes our sales cycle. Of course, there are more to the analytics functionality of the web client. Of course, in the interest of time, we will not be covering all the analytics today, but do look out for the next session. We will be doing more discussion on how we can make use of the web client analytics to build your business reports. Now, let's go back to the slides. So as you can see, I've shown you that we can actually go to the opportunity list where we have a list of all the opportunities. And I've also shown you the list view analytics for your sales team. And it is a mobile first experience for the field representative. Why is that so? Because you can access to the web client by using any device, including mobile phone, as the user interface is actually screen size aware. It is aware of the size and it will auto adjust the screen elements for you. And last but not least, we have seen how the relationship map show us every documents from the quotation to the invoice. Next, we will cover the procure-to-pay life cycle, the profit protector. So what are the procurement process involved? In the past, if you want to plan for the demand, how do? You use Excel spreadsheets. Maybe populate or fill out the Excel spreadsheet with the items and with the purchase order. But by using web client and the list view of the purchasing related data, you have a dashboard presented to you so that you can make a more informed decision. Secondly, you can also incorporate the approval process in your purchasing cycle. In the past, you are waiting for the email from your colleagues to ask you for approval of a purchasers, and you must be seated on the desk before you can actually review and approve or reject that request. But by using web client, you are now able to use the web client to do a mobile one-tap approval. You no longer need to be bound to the desk. You can actually approve it on the go. In addition to this, you can also do a vendor search. We call it an enterprise search to search for the history of the vendor or your purchase history of the vendor. I will be showing you how do we do an enterprise search in the system. Lastly, you can then end the procurement process with the AP invoice with a seamless link between the goods receipt PO as well as the payment to the invoice. Okay. Now let's move back to our web client. I will go back to my screen here. Now, we are at this purchasing tab. So in this purchasing tab, there are many functions or many apps, as I mentioned, right? So majority of the apps will look familiar to those of you who are already familiar with the purchasing cycle or purchasing application in SAP Business One. Now, before we start, we want to complete the full cycle of the purchasing process. So what we will do is we will first create a purchase request. So just imagine a user who needs to buy something. They need to go to the purchase request app. So in this purchase request app, what I will do is I will just click on the required date. When do I need this item? So I will click this and then I'll go to the content where I can enter again the list of items that I want. Okay. Say for example, now I click on the value help where I can search for items that I want. There is a global search here where the system will search for anything in the list. For example, anything that includes the wording print that I key in. So if I do not want to repeat the searching criteria, I can easily save this as a search screen for me. Say, for example, print items. I make it public so that other users can also see my screen. Then in this case, the next time when I come to here, I can easily switch between different view. The system will do a search for me immediately. I do not need to repeat the same searching criteria again and again. Now, I will just click on this item because I want to buy this item. Again, you can do multiple selection here. Now, I click on select and I will key in the required quantity here. Say, for example, I want to key in, I want 10 units of this item. Okay, then the system will calculate for me my estimated total. Now, I click on add and view, and the approval process, approval workflow will be triggered. Then I will enter something like, please approve this PR, for example. So I just click OK. Now, this PR will be in the status of draft, and you can see that the approval status is pending. So what happens next is, I'm going to go to the, let me just move this screen away. I'm going to go to my email. Let me just wait a while. There should be an email coming in for the approval request. Okay, so now you can see from here, there is an email that's coming in. So as an approval, I can see that there is a request for approving document generation. Okay. Now you can see that there is a link here where as an approval, I can actually click on this link. It will open up the web client for me. And I can immediately access to these documents. So you can see from here, the status is draft. And you can see who is the requester. Then you can review the detail. And if you approve this, you just need to click on this approve. The status of this document will be automatically changed to approved. Next, I go back to my email. As the requester, I will then be able to receive a notification telling me that the document has been approved. So you can see from here, the document generation is approved. So you click on this, and again, you can click on this link. Again, it will bring you back to the draft documents. Okay, so from here, you see that the draft is approved. What I will need to do next is, I just click on edit to switch it to edit mode, where I can then click on add and view to add these documents. All right. Now, this PR is already approved. Next, what I will do is, I want to send these documents to 2 vendors to ask for quotation. So in SAP Business One, what we will do is we will create a purchase quotation. We'll go to the create purchase quotation app. I will then key in the vendor. What I will do is, I go to ACME. For example, I know that this is the vendor name I choose. Then I will say, when do I need this item? Okay. Then I will select copy from purchase request. And number 8 is the one that I've created just now. I just choose and I select. Then I will add and view. Without entering any quoted quantity and the pricing. Next, what I will do is I can click on this share button and I say send by email. The system will then open up another page where it links to my Outlook. You will prepare the printout of the documents. You can edit this email by entering more information like the message. Then you can hit send. It will be sent to the supplier. Okay, this is internal direct link to your Outlook. Next, I want to create another purchase quotation to another vendor. I will just repeat the same step. I go to new. I will select another supplier. Lasercom. Then I will select I will then enter the same required date again. I will select copy from. Purchase request. Number 8 again, and I select. Next, I go to content and make sure everything is okay. Then I click on add and view. Again, you can repeat the same step of sending this document to another supplier. Now, I can use this previous data record button to move back to my previous record where the supplier has come back to me with their quoted quantity and the pricing. I will click on edit, then go to the contents. I will then be able to enter the quoted quantity. Let's say the supplier quote me 8 units and they are quoting me $59 or $55. I will click update. And I'll go to the next one, number 6. This supplier also come back to me with the quotation. Edit. And they quote me 10 units, what I need. But they quote me slightly higher, $59. So I will say update. Not forgetting that you can actually go to the attachment to attach additional documents. For example, the supplier quotation. Then you just click update. You can attach multiple documents as well. All right. Now, you need to do a comparison of all the quotation. What I will do is, I will go to the main page again, purchasing app. I will have this purchase quotation. In this purchase quotation app, by default, it will show me my open quotation. I can then change the view again to purchase quotation comparison report, where I can click on this to expand it, and then I will be able to see the changes here. the detail. For example, the first supplier quote me $55. So apparently I want to go for the lowest price one. So I go to click to select, and I will copy this into purchase order. I want to raise a purchase order to this supplier. Now, from here, you check through the content and you make sure everything is correct. Then what you do next is just click on add and view again. Again, you can click on this share again, send by email, send this to the supplier. Of course, you have other options to preview, to print, or to choose another layout to preview, or you export to Excel or export to Word. These are all the functionality that I can use. Next, what I will do is supplier will deliver the goods to me. I will copy to goods receipt PO. Right? So when I copy the goods receipt PO, what I will do is, again, as usual, I will key in the supplier DO number. I can check the contents. Maybe the supplier delivered to me partially, so I can still change the quantity if I want to. If for this demo, I will just keep it as it is. Just add view. Yes, you cannot make changes further. Now, next, supplier send me an invoice. I will copy this goods receipt into an AP invoice. So you can see the step of purchasing cycle is pretty much similar to the sales cycle, where you just do a copying to. So from here, I will do a invoice number entering. For example, the supplier sent me an invoice. Certainly, I will have to enter the supplier invoice number. Right. So I will click on add and view, and assuming that everything is correct, you can see the total payment due here. Next, what I will do is I will click on the pay button one more time. I can then make payment to this supplier again. So from here, I can go to the payment means, I can go to the cash. So now I need to choose the cash account. So I click on the value help. And this by default system show me all the GL account, but I do not want, I just want the cash account. So system will give me the cash related accounts for me to choose from. Choose, go. Then again, the shortcut is Control B. The system will copy the payment amount into here. And then I will click on add and view and say yes. Now, let me go back to the recent activities and I say I want to go back to this AP invoice screen. Okay, what I would need to do, what I want to do is I want to view the relationship map of the whole cycle. So you can see from here. So the initial process is to start from the purchase request, then follow to the purchase quotation, then to the purchase order, then to the goods receipt PO, and then move a bit down, you see an AP invoice, you see an outgoing payment here. Okay, so I can zoom in, zoom out, up to you to choose. Now, what happened to this purchase quotation? Okay, so this quotation, I do not want it anymore. Click on this, open up the purchase quotation. I will then be able to close this purchase quotation manually. Do you want to close it? Yes, okay. And the answer no, do not want to close the other purchase quotation. So this quotation is closed. You go back to the relationship map. You see exactly the same thing, but now everything is closed. All right. Now, so what is this enterprise search then? So as you can see, I've actually made multiple purchases to the supplier called ACME. So there is this search button here where I can open the search and then I can enter what I want to search for. ACME, for example. System will search for me just the quotation because I selected only purchase quotation. But what happens if I want to search for all the data, including purchase invoice, AP credit memo, AP payments, or any purchase related documents to this? So I will choose all. I search again. Then the system will search for me for all the data here. Now, you can see that there are so many data here. AP invoice. I can go to the AP invoice, then zoom into the AP invoice for me. Now, what happens if I want to refine my searching? I say I want to enter ACME, which is my vendor name, and the print, which is another wording of the description. I just choose. Fine. You probably see that under the all here, there is the other credit memo is gone because the other credit memo does not meet the searching criteria here. Okay. So if I go to my goods receipt PO, for example, I can click on this display as a list view where you can see it as a list, or you can click display it as a table view. You can show more, you can see everything. You can export this. You can share it with another colleagues. When I choose email, system will open up my email and you can choose to share with another user. Another user where they click on this link, the system will bring them directly to this link, to this view. You can also save it as an, export this as a result, export it out into Excel. So this make it easy for you to choose. And more importantly is that you can even save this search criteria as a snapshot, save it as a tile, so that the next time when you go into my home page, you have this particular search that is already being saved. Click on this, you do no longer need to rekey in the search again. The system will just, based on the search criteria that you have saved before, to do the same searching again for all the data. Okay. Now, this is, let's go back to the slides. That concludes our demonstration of the purchasing cycle as well as the enterprise search. Okay. Now, why do I actually spend so much time on the purchasing? The reason is because there is an efficiency loss in the maverick spending. The maverick spending reduction is estimated to be up to 45% if you adopt the approval process of the purchasing cycle in SAP Business One Webclient. So maverick spending is something, is defined as spending that bypass your normal workflow approval, and spending that is actually made by users who do not observe the company workflow. So certainly you want to control such spending. So the SAP Business One Webclient approval process will be the answer to this. Now, Webclient is more than a UI actually. It's not just a change in the user interface, but you can view it as a business transformation engine. By integrating the lead-to-cash as well as procure-to-pay cycle in one whole web experience, you empower your team to lead, not just to follow. And let's just trade the black hole for a brighter future. Okay, ready to unlock? If so, you can actually call us. We can arrange a 15 minutes quick business process map workflow map process with your existing workflow to see how SAP Business One Webclient can fit your current business process. Okay, now I will stop the recording. Let me see. I will just say stop, pause the recording now.